Hi, I'm Eric Joseph. Welcome to Jazz and Blues Primer. Today we're going to be covering the chords in the key of E. 12-bar blues, standard stuff, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So again, it's Blues Primer. We're going to cover the basics today. The chords we're going to be covering are going to be right up here in a second here for you. We're going to have the open E dominant 7th chord, along with the open A and B dominant 7th chords. We're also going to be covering up on the 7th fret, the E 9th chord. At the 5th fret, we'll have the A 13th. And then we got the B 7th up at the 7th fret. In the 4th and 5th fret, depending on how you look at it, we'll have the A 9th. And then at the 6th and 7th, we'll have the B 9th chord. Those are really the same chords, just moved up and down a few frets. So, and I like to shuffle in between those two as well. So you'll kind of hear that later in my playing, and I hope you can use it in yours. All right, so the first chord we're going to take a look at now is going to be the E dominant 7th open. So we're going to go through a couple of these chords rather quickly. I'll go over the chords in the open position here, and then we'll get on to some of the chords that are up and down from the neck. So here's the open E chord. So let's just bring up that graphic, and we'll go ahead and play that. So depending on how you hit this chord, you could use it as a nice, just like mellow chord. But if you're going to play stuff like Stevie Ray Vaughan, he really smacks the chord. So there's different ways to get different emotion and feeling out of the chord. Let's take a look at the fret hand on that E chord now. So if we look at this chord here, the first low note, and I always go downward or upward if you're talking about pitch. The low E, that's going to be the root of the chord, so play that as such, just open. The next note in the chord is right here, second finger on your hand, 2nd fret. So this chord's really easy, and it's on the A string. The D string is going to be played open, and then again easy. First finger on the 1st fret of the G string. Last but not least, we have the two open strings, the B and the E. So that's what that chord looks like for your fret hand. Let's take a look at the pick hand. This is probably the easiest chord we're going to do tonight. So right over here, again, you're fretting and leaving open every string. So you just pick straight through. If you want to arpeggiate it, you just play one at a time. And if you want that raw, raunchy kind of smack, almost simultaneously on that. All right. So the next two open chords we're going to do, we'll do the A and we'll do the B. For this one, I'm not going to really go into a whole lot of detail on them, but the A is played like this, and then the B7 is like this. So let's go ahead and bring up the graphic for the A. The only string we're not playing here is the low E. So we have the open A, which is the root. We put our second finger on the 2nd fret of now the 3rd string, or the D. Open G. 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. And then finally open. And then to look at the pick hand, Again, we're not playing this low E string. Unless we want to throw in that 5, that's the 5th. The E is the 5th of the A. Okay? So, yes, it's in the chord and you can play it like that, but it kind of muddies up the whole sound of the chord if you're strumming that low E in. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the B7th, open B7th chord. So that's what that chord looks like. If we take a look at the fret hand, we're starting to get a little more complex in here now. Fingers are kind of intertwined and they look kind of tangled if you're just starting out. But it's really just the second finger, first finger, third finger. That's all you really got to worry about on this chord. You do not want to play the low E or the high E. Those are fourths for the B, and it kind of sounds weird. It sounds like it wants to resolve. So you don't want to hit those open outer strings. So we're only using the 4 inner strings on this, and it's the second finger on the second fret of the D string, the first finger on the first fret of the, I'm sorry, going back, it was the A string. So we want the first fret on the D string, and then finally the third finger on the second fret of the G string. The B string is played open, and again, that's the root of the chord. To pick it, take a look at the pick hand. Again, we got to stay away from those outer strings. Take a listen to that. Sounds like it wants to resolve to something else. So we don't want that E string in there. We only want these 4 inners. And I usually let my fingers kind of dangle on those strings, and up at the lower notes, or the lower string, I do what's called a palm mute. So I'm touching that with the palm of my hand so that it can't make a sound. Kind of cancels out. And to arpeggiate it, you just... Okay. Let's go ahead and move up the neck. Let's go ahead and I'll go over the E9th chord now. So the E9 chord, even though the first note that's played, or the lowest fret that's played, is the 6th fret, the important note here right now is that root. The root is on the 7th. So when you're trying to get memorize the names of the chords, make sure that you're using those roots and those frets to kind of be your guide, because there's a dot there, and that's why there's a dot there. It's kind of guides you on some of the main keys of when you're playing. So we have our, this is just like the chord we played earlier, that B7. It's just moved up a few frets. So it's 2, 1, 3. Now you can bar up here like this, or you can use your pinky or 4th finger to play the next note. But again, we're playing the inner 4 strings, and we're gonna, on the second string, the A string, second fret, 7th, or sorry, second finger, 7th fret, first finger, 6th fret on the D string, third finger, 7th fret on the G string, and then you can either bar or use your pinky or 4th on the 7th fret of the B string. And you might notice I like to kind of put that little bit of vibrato in when I'm playing. So I do a lot of string bending, even just with the whole chord there. Okay? Down on the pick hand again, very easy. We'll do this quick. You're only playing the inner 4 strings. The other ones are either finger muted or palm muted. All right. The next chord is the A13th. This is a big chord. And I like to think of it as an inversion of the A major chord. So if we, real quickly, before we bring up that graphic, let's take a look at the fret hand here. This is the A major chord. And if you take a look at the pattern on the strings, it's the first 2 frets here, 5, and then we play this guy right here with the second finger, and then this here. This chord is simply inverted. We play it backwards. So now I have these 2 guys, the one in the middle, and this. So it's an easy way to kind of remember that. So go ahead and bring up that graphic again, and go ahead and pull out on the camera there. This is what the chord's going to look like. That's the A13. Okay? Okay, take a look at the fret hand. You got the first finger on the 5th fret. It's actually just touching the next string, so it mutes it automatically. And then the second finger is going to go on the 5th fret of the D string. The third finger is going to go on the 6th fret of the G string. And then the 4th is going to bar the 7th fret of the B and the E string. Okay. And then down on the pick hand, I'm strumming straight through because this string here is being muted by my fret hand. Okay? Alrighty. So we'll move on. The B7th, this is a bar chord. So this is a true bar chord. If you wanted, you could have barred this chord like this. I don't typically play it like that, but that's just my preference. If you like barring, that'll work. So let's go ahead up to the 7th fret. This is the B7th chord. And it's a bar chord. And the bar chord is essentially taking usually your index finger and going across every string. It takes a little bit of getting used to, especially if you don't want some of those notes to be played. That'll develop over time. So the first finger, or your index finger, is going to cover or bar all the 7th fret, all the strings. Then you're going to take your third finger and you're going to put it on the 9th fret of the D string. You still have the bar for the next string. Then you're going to put your first finger on the 8th fret of the G string, and then again the bar has these 2. The pick hand looks like this. Again, it's straight through. All those notes are in the chord, so it's okay if you play them all. Now, the next one I do, we can kind of cover this really quickly. The A 9th chord and the B 9th chord are the same fingerings. So I'm going to show you the fingering on the fret hand for the A 9th and the positioning, and I'll show you the pick hand, but then we're going to just slide up to the B. We're not going to cover that twice. So again, you're playing all the inner strings, so don't play the low E or the high E. This one, again, is another one of those chords that starts kind of behind your root. So our A chord root would be right here at the 5th fret. We're actually starting this chord on the 4th fret. So it's first finger, and this one is looks like a spider when you're done. It's first finger on the 4th, third finger on the 5th, second finger on the 4th, and then 4th finger on the 5th. Vibrato. Robert Cray does that a lot when he hits a chord. So there's the A, and take a look at the pick hand. Again, I'm just playing the middle 4 strings. And then for that B, we can pull out here. The B 9th is just 2 frets up. A, B flat, so what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to go ahead and play a track. It's a backing track. It's Freddie King style blues in E. that. I want to play that again. I do want to get that track turned up a little bit if we can. Do you have any more room over there for that? Okay, I'm going to turn that up, so just give me a second. I'm losing it. Hopefully we can go over it. I'm going to play the open chords with this now, so go ahead and let's hear that again. So those are the open chords playing that. So what I'd like to do now is just kind of really quickly show you some of the things I do to get from chord to chord. First one happens way up here, up in the low registry, open strings. This is something that I tried to do early on. I kind of thought of it on my own, but every guitar player does it. But there's like a connection. If you don't do it early enough, you struggle getting from chord to chord. So if I try to play my E chord and straight into the A, it kind of sounds like you're sitting around a campfire. Just changing right to that chord. The nice thing about rock and heavy blues music and things like that, a lot of it's noise. So what I do is I kind of do a palm mute and I strum the open strings. So I do something like that before I get to the next chord. And that way I don't have to rush to the next chord. And at the same time, it creates a transition and it sounds better, I guess. Stuff. You can do that anywhere. You don't have to be in the open position to do it. If I come down here and do those chords, the ninth chords. So that's one way to do that. The other way to get from chord to chord, and this works better in the fretted chords than down in the open, is to slide. You can slide 2 frets, 1 fret. You can jump 2 frets. It all depends on what you feel, what the music is. And we're going to play this in just a second. But if I play the E chord, rather than just starting on that E9, I might slide from a fret below or a fret above. Or I might go 2 frets and slide up. Now if you really want a shocker, you can start from 2 frets behind. A quick visit again to the Freddie King track, and we'll listen to those. you can do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'd like to thank you guys for coming. I'm going to end this. We're going to go back to our intro tune. So we're going to bring up that Chicago tune. I'm going to play a little lead over this, and I'm also going to do the chords and some of the embellishments that I did. We'll move some of the chords around to the higher frets.